So what I do in the world is, Steve and I own a business called Moss Consulting, and what I'm going to talk about tonight is just to introduce Alan, we're going to talk about some really cool financial things that are coming up in the market. We're all feeling it. We're all business owners. Yeah. And so kind of to tee up that, what we do with Moss Consulting is fractional HR and recruiting. And what that means is a lot of things. And when we started our business, we were in a rent house building our home while we were in the rent house building our business. I had been in commercial real estate, and I worked in IP law, kind of managing process and operations in HR for also 15 years. We must be about the same age. And what we learned through that is I was working for a law office while I was kind of transitioning out of that into a commercial real estate group, lead commercial. And for about 3 months, I worked full-time both jobs. And full-time, and it was a lot, right? But what we did was we figured out like automation, systems, process, you can run both things at the same time. And Steve was like, hey, why don't we do this for more than 2 companies at once? And I joined Lead Commercial, and the guy who runs Lead Commercial is an incredible entrepreneur and really kind of helped ignite that and supported us while we did that. What we do with fractional HR and recruiting is what we do is we come in and fractionally manage your people for you. So we run your payroll, we manage your benefits, we run open enrollment. And we make a really strong connection with all of the employees. I spent the day today talking with employees, and our goal is to make people feel comfortable coming to us while we're very transparent with the business owner of what's going on with their business. So we fully support them so they can focus on their vision and build out what they do. And we also help keep the relationship clean between the business owner and the employee. All have the hard conversations, all have the termination strategy conversations. And we just manage the employee life cycle. It's really, really a fun opportunity. And what I get from running Moss Consulting, Steve just joined full-time today, day 1. His last day in his company was yesterday. And so
I was told January 2nd.
Yeah.
We have things to do, okay? We've got things to do. But anyway.
Get to work. 90-day plan still.
Yeah.
No, I'm very excited to have Steve, and it's really kind of been an interesting realization of being in Easton Park. We've been in Easton Park since 2018, and we've built our business since 2017, and community is everything. Community is everything, and so during COVID, Steve and I were sitting out in our front yard probably drinking, as everyone was doing during COVID, and we were like, God, we really miss live music. And so we asked a bunch of bands to come and play music. Johnny's here with Swimming with Bears. Johnny's also an incredible project manager. You should talk to him if you have any questions about managing things. But we had all of these bands come and play, and we loved supporting that. It was so fun because these bands are entrepreneurs as well. And so supporting that within the community has been great. Steve started the poker club, which is really fun. It's been an incredible way to meet people and get to know people. We've placed employees in Easton Park into jobs of our clients, which is just so fun. It's so cool. It's the best. And I get to work with my friends. It's really like a really fun thing. And then, as we kind of move into this, what I think, Alan will speak to it more, but we're moving into kind of a scary economic situation, right? I don't know enough about it other than to repeat that it's going to get scary here in the next, several months. Offboarding and outsourcing your HR is critical, because what we can do for you is run and act as your director of HR at a fraction of the cost. And just a quick story, one of our larger clients that we just took on, they had a director of HR and compliance that they were paying $130,000 a year, plus burden, right? Medical, dental, vision, 401k, bonuses, PTO, all the things, right? She retired, and what she was doing full time, so 160 hours a month, I'm doing in 40 hours a month with the same, if not better, results. And the reason that I say better results is because not only am I working with that company, I'm working with multiple companies in Austin, and so I'm not like stuck in one mindset. There's opportunity everywhere. There's new things to learn everywhere, different levels of employees, and so outsourcing your HR can be such an opportunity for growth for your company, because we can really focus on exactly what we need to while you grow your business. So that's what we do. I'm excited that Alan's here, and Jeanette, thank you so much. This is a beautiful connection. I think we're going to do some really fun things together in our community. I'm going to brag on Alan for a second. Alan is a big part of the building of our business. It's amazing that you're here. Thank you so much. But I've known Alan for several years, and he just has an insight to the human form, and is just so incredibly intuitive and entrepreneurial. And so I'd follow Alan into a burning building. Like, if we set him to do that, like, he's just the best. Yeah, right.
Hopefully I'm not walking into many of those, but
I follow you out of a burning building too. Maybe that's more of the thing. But Alan, it's such a treat to have you here, and for everyone just ask him questions and do all the things. But before he comes up, if any of you have questions for me and what we do or outsourcing HR is, just let me know. You can ask now or catch me later.
So you're outsourcing HR though, is that more geared to small, medium, or large businesses?
So we'll help people that have generally 100 employees or less.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, we can do that. Once you get over that number, there's compliance.
Yeah.
Factor, really 125, there's some compliance factors that come into play that we're not large enough to deal with that. So Travis?
You told us about, you gave us the example about the HR woman that was working 160 hours a week, that you can do it for 40 hours a week.
160 hours a month.
Sorry, 160 hours, 140 hours a month, whatever it was, and you did it in 40 hours a month. Can you also do it cheaper?
Significantly cheaper because there's no burden. So there's less hours. I'm not on salary.
Are you hourly?
We bill by the hour.
Okay.
And so that just cuts that in half. But also, we take on their risk as well. And that's something I forgot to mention, so thank you for the question. We'll take on the risk of payroll. That falls under our umbrella of insurance. So if we make a payroll mistake, which hasn't happened yet, but we're only human, that would fall under our umbrella, not the company. So it really offboards a lot of risk. It offboards a lot of burden. And really, we're so focused on time and what we do what we do all day, every day. So, yes.
So the company where we took over the $130,000 HR director, how much did we build up last year?
About $50,000. So it's quite the discount for them. And you know, and we're very close with all of the owners that we work with. And if any of you know me, I'm not a corporate lady at all. So I work with some pretty cool and creative people, mostly in the commercial real estate, architect, civil engineering world. I do have some really cool artists that I work with, which I love, but that's more of a passion project for me. But to be able to work with creative people, with the people that work with them, their employees, on a personal level, it's just really exciting. However, what we've learned over the last 4 years as we've built this concept out is that you really can do a full-time director of HR role if you have less than 100 employees in 40 to 50 hours a month.
Are you standardizing things for like these organizations as well? Like obviously like small companies need to evolve with process and things.
Right.
And so is like one thing you offer like standardization, right? So like
Yeah, so you know, a big time suck is like open enrollment for benefits.
yeah.
It doesn't matter what size your group is, that's a matter, it's just timing. But to standardize like an open enrollment process saves so much energy and so much time over the long run. Same thing with like a 401k and with payroll. Really my goal for 2023 is all new companies that we bring on, we want to get to we want to have them in the same payroll processing system. That would just make things much easier for us. And I've worked with all of the payroll processing systems, and I like one a lot, Paylocity. I highly recommend it.
Paylocity?
It's great. But I know how to work it, I know how to use it, and I can create systems for that. But we've worked with multiple. But yeah, the goal is to standardize processes. What's up, Nicole?
What about learning and development within the companies that you support? Do you guys build those programs as well?
We do. So one of my biggest passions in what we do for the fractional HR side is building culture and growing people from starting, even if they're young and growing, to people that have done something the same way over and over and say, hey, there's a new, better way to do that. And what we do, our culture is really fun. We like to go in and make this not a like, ugh, I gotta talk to HR, you know? But yeah, we talk about, we'll go through like reviews see where the weaknesses are, see where the holes are. We also do something called predictive index that really will show us how to communicate. Alan and I worked a culture index, predictive index together a few years ago with his team while he was at a different bank and had some great results. So we'll go in and kind of help move people around, find training programs for them that they can really dive into and that they really like. We all learn and hear and do things differently. And so that's a big part of what we can bring is this very directed growth strategy for both the person and the organization.
What about super touchy HR issues?
That was my whole day today. They're exhausting. I mean, we deal with that.
Take those on.
I'm sorry?
I'm talking, like the highest level, like.
Yeah, we take that on. We take on that risk, and we deal with that in a way that is very confidential. The delicate issues are tough.
Yeah.
And the benefit that we provide to the owner is that we separate the owner from delicate issues. So it's always, they're never fun, right? They're always very awkward. They're always just like cringy to deal with. And if you can help the employee and the owner save face together, of course, if we get to a point where there needs to be some sort of reporting or something, that's a different story. But if we can handle it, we take all of that on. It's not fun, but it's a majority of what we do.
It's like the drilling session here.
I love it. Keep them coming.
How do you handle, like, let's say something comes up, like right then, and they're like, I need you right here.
Mhm.
Because you're not on property or you're not
Mhm.
there, and you might be in, both of you in another appointment. Like, how do you, like, handle that type of situation?
Deb. We have a Deb. We have an employee that works with us that
Send Steve.
yeah.
Someday it's Steve, we'll see.
Someday to see.
He's trying.
That does happen. There's situations that come up that are emergent when you're dealing with people. It's like any other task list. You have to prioritize. A lot of the things you can knock down. Everyone that we work with is really local, so I can be on site within 15 minutes of any of our clients. Happy to take people further away, but we
In
can.
fairness, she told me a story about a woman that slipped and fell, and she was there while the employee was still on the ground.
I did show up, and she was fine. She was a little scared. Her ankle hurt. But the owner was out of town that day, and I had to show up. I was kind of next in line, and that happens with the relationships that we have with our employers. Is I really quickly become like a number two for them, or like a COO. If I'm dealing more with an operational person, I'll become the number two. There's a level of confidence. There's a level of trust. Yeah, with me, and that's really important. And I like to maintain that with the employees and with the business owners. To be fair, though, I am very transparent with all of the employees that we work with. My job is to protect the company.
So here's a challenging question though.
Okay.
So you said you're more geared to people less than 100, right, employees?
Mm-hmm.
But what if these firms are scaling up? Right now we're not in growth mode, right?
Mm-hmm.
But once a firm, Encore, if you get to like 5,000 employees, like, do you hand off, or is like you're just like, hey, we've got the blueprints, we'll hand that off to now they got to hire a HR director at 130,000, right?
Sure, and that's what an exciting time. Like that's the goal for our clients, right? Is to help them so that we're growing, we're staffing, we're training, we're retaining them, all of those employees to the point where they are at that 125 person. And what a celebration it would be for me to help them find their director of HR and then train them up. That's a beautiful thing. I would love to offboard someone like that.
You mentioned you had a few passions as far as art projects go, but I love the passion that you had. Can you tell me a little bit about your why and you started this company? Obviously, there's a major need for it.
Sure.
I'm really thrilled by how
This
passionate
is
you are.
great.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Let's let this
I
run.
love
So you
that.
Yeah, you just wait.
That you have, and it's really amazing. You have an amazing solution.
Thank you.
Really putting it to the table.
I think.
Tell me about you. Tell me about how you started this company and what is your driving force?
I love the human form. I love people. I love people's stories. Everyone's a journey, and I love entrepreneurs. I love working with entrepreneurs. There's a level of creativity and fun and risk, and they're just great. Entrepreneurs are the most fun people I've ever met, ever.
It's so fun because this is your little baby.
It's our little baby.
And it's your little baby
Yeah.
as well. And the two of you are like, hey, let's get our little babies
Yeah.
together. Let's sweat and tears. Let's make it happen.
I love watching success happen. I feel there's nothing better to me than watching either one of my recruits just kill it in their job and call me and, you know, a couple years later and be like, I love this. John is a really exciting example of this. I'll tell you a story. Here's a story about this passion. I've known John forever. Since we've been kids. He needed a job. I had a unique opportunity with a Montessori school, and John had he could fill this unique need that they had, and so I called him. We worked on his resume together. We worked on the the cover letter together. He worked with this incredible woman named Lisa Friday, who runs Athena Montessori. You guys should check it out. It's a really cool little school to look at if you have kids. And you were there for what, 2.5, almost 3 years? Almost 4 years. And John went from... Started as a temp. We overcame a lot of obstacles. I was helping with HR as well. And it was just so fun to watch John get to the point where he left. He put in his letter of resignation. He left on great terms and moved into what are you doing now, John? What's your...
IT administrator for a civil engineering firm.
That he got all... He got all of that experience and a lot of just hands-on, grind out, figure it out experience of working in a place that if we didn't know each other, if I didn't know Lisa, he wouldn't have had that opportunity. And I am certainly not taking credit for his success, but where my joy comes from is watching growth. And same thing, so on the employee side, that's it. On the entrepreneurial side, especially as we've become entrepreneurs and we employ people that we pay, which is terrifying and it's scary. But watching Deb come onto our team, she's been with us for 6 months, and watching her succeed has just been so fun. So their success is my success, and I know that sounds really kitschy, but I just really, I live it. I live it every day. And when we have like the challenging HR issues that come up, or a tricky hire, or someone who maybe their first 9 days wasn't the strongest, but we got to figure out how to get them to success. That's really like where my joy comes from. And I've just always been a lover of people and their stories.
I love that.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else? Let's get Alan up here. I know you've got.
I actually have a question.
Tell me, Alan.
From a human perspective, we're all kind of navigating this remote versus in office,
Right.
Situation. I'm assuming you're handling a lot of those
A lot.
questions. How should we be thinking about that?
I think that what we learned during COVID is that most adults, some can't. Most adults can work from home and do as much, if not more work, working from home. What you have to establish is a clear process as to what's expected. So Steve and I often talk when we're talking about managing people, it's the art of war, right? So it's like clearly defined communication, clearly defined expectations, clearly defined rewards and consequences, and absolute consistency. And so we have to change that model a little bit with what our expectations are. I think I'm taking pictures of Oh no, it's Steven, it's your Bluetooth. So we have to change, I think that the way to deal with that is to create clear process and expectation.
Yeah.
What does that look like? It's been really interesting, and I would say 75% of people do it well. 75% of employees are working well from home. There is a subset of people that really either need to be around people. There's they call it body doubling. Working near people is very helpful for some. Yeah. And there's a level of discipline from working from home, but I think when the employer says, okay, we have flex 3 days at home, 2 days in the office, or whatever, right? As long as those weekly goals are defined, it's usually fine. And the problems present themselves very quickly, right, to someone who's really not good at working from home or not self-motivated. And then those are different discussions.
But wasn't 2021, everyone was reporting you couldn't lose money in 2021. Every company was just blast off. So could they get an accurate picture of which people were productive? Because you're just looking at earnings in that year. And now we're in defense mode where everyone's trying to save their P&Ls. So now the focus on productivity. So, I'm sure there's going to be more focus in the year 2022 of who's being productive.
Sure, and a lot of the people that I'm working with, they want people back in house. There's a culture aspect to a lot of the smaller businesses that I work with. And when I say smaller businesses, I mean like 85 people and under. There's something about working with your team in the office, and I think that entrepreneurs and business owners really want that touch feel.
I think it's so like nuanced.
It is.
This is just my opinion. Like I went back to my corporate office in New York, and there wasn't one person in the office, and we have an office for like 1,000 people.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's been no change in product. It was not as productive for me to fly to New York,
Sure.
spend that money,
Sure.
spend the money to be in New York, meet with my team there, get my team there, and then fly back. You know, like.
Sure. I can't really speak much to people like 1,000
Yeah.
employees.
Yeah.
Like I deal with a much smaller
Yeah.
scope. And in a small team, when balls get dropped, it's big, right?
Yeah.
Like you can tell really, really fast. So I absolutely agree with you. To be able to to not have to fly to New York and the cost of hotels and flights and food and all of the things. But that's really out of my scope. I can't really speak to
Yeah, I think
1,000 employees.
it's just gonna be like individualized.
Yeah.
Like every employer.
Yeah, most of the employers that I work with really like the touch feel of them being in the office, but again, it's so apparent so fast with under 100 employees when a ball drops, like, and it's pretty clear who dropped it.
That small business and that startup, when everybody's working for a collective goal,
Yeah.
is a little different.
It's way different. It is. But yeah, I mean, I think again, it's all just about communication and setting up processes and letting them know like what the expectations are. And then they have to meet them. And as a manager, you know, we need to make sure that it's all clear, they understand. And it's good communication.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. All right, let's hear what you have to say.
I need to break up this conversation, if I'm being honest.